It is finally time to share with you something that we've been working on in the background for the last 5 years. Something that is changing the game fast for the world's rarest cars. Here at the Museum, we have now welcomed over £50 million worth of hypercars to come and visit. And it's exactly these kinds of cars that get my adrenaline flowing. As you know from the channel, it's always been about the geeky details, visiting collections, going to the best events, and trying to share a passion for these incredible pieces of machinery. And now it's time for an evolution of that, something that is changing the game fast. Today, not only do I want to share with you some of the secret cars that have been right here at my garage, but to introduce you to exclusive car registry and how we're working with manufacturers, dealers, auction houses, museums, collectors, events, photographers, car spotters, enthusiasts, and more to revolutionize the exclusive car industry. ECR offers something for everybody when it comes to the collectible car industry, whether you're into supercars or hypercars or classic cars or even race cars. And the very fact that you are here on this channel means that there is definitely something that will be of interest to you coming up. As you can probably detect, I'm just a teeny bit excited to tell you all about it today. Plus, later on, I want to share with you the most expensive car that's ever driven in through those shutter doors that to this point hasn't ever once been on the channel to date. So stay tuned for that. Hi guys, I'm Shmi. Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's the start of a new chapter. It's the start of an exciting new journey together. Welcome to ECR. It's time to take you for a walk down memory lane. It's now been 3 years since I got the keys to this garage, and in that time, as I mentioned, we have welcomed over £50 million worth of hypercars. That's around $70 million worth of cars that have been here to visit the Museum, to grace us with their presence, many of which, of course, you've seen on the channel, but there have been a few that until now, I've never previously shown, so we can reveal some of the secret visitors a little bit later on. But the first hypercar to stop by was when Zenvo brought the factory TSRS. That was the car that sealed the deal to the purchase of the ultimate Shmee-mobile hypercar that we have now in the collection. But along the way, there have been plenty of other visitors, some that have stayed for longer term, including the trio of Zenvos here at the moment, post the Goodwood Festival of Speed, the likes of the Busick Speed Legend up on the Autostacker storage lift, and my friend's Murcielago SV that's right here beside me. But all of these and some of the other Shmee-mobiles have something in common. What they have in common is that they all feature on exclusive car registry. So what is ECR? What is it all about? Why am I so excited? Let me explain. ECR is the ultimate resource when it comes to this world of high-end cars. It's a passionate topic that you and I have in common, absolutely loving the kinds of cars that you see here at the Museum and everything that's been in my videos on the channel over the years to date. But it's now an evolution of that, with a community of enthusiasts contributing data to create this extraordinary wealth of information. The goal of ECR is to preserve history one car at a time. The idea is to have an understanding and a transparency behind these amazing cars that we all love. Whatever your specific niche is in terms of car interest, or wherever you sit within the industry, there's something for everyone. Now, I've mentioned ECR a few times on the channel in the past because personally, as somebody who is admittedly fanatical about information and data, I love the stories. If I've been visiting a collection, learning about the cars that feature within, if I'm going to an event, what's going to be there? What are we going to be seeing? If I'm filming a particular car, are there any standout stories, or maybe have I seen it somewhere around the world before that I can share with you in that video? But these are just small parts because the whole idea is that every individual can contribute different bits of information, can be part of growing this database that features so many amazing cars. In fact, to be very nerdy about it, let me give you some numbers. We have over 75,000 documented cars from 2,500 different makes and models. We also have 12,500 active users, people like you and I who are contributing data, building the database and curating this amazing information. When it comes to models like 918 Spiders, P1, Senna's, Speedtails, we have 100% completion, which means we have an amazing understanding of colors, specs, details about it. Now, this is where, depending where you sit in the industry, there's something for everyone. If you're a car spotter or a photographer, an enthusiast, you can mark the cars that you've spotted. Maybe you detect that a car's been to a different event, you can update and edit and add pictures, add information about it. website. If you work within the dealership or auction house industry, you can find out detailed information. And in fact, in addition to our free accounts, we also have on offer more information available in terms of unique selling points and going beyond. For manufacturers, there's even more information as well that's available about different cars out there. In fact, for museums, you can add additional stories about the cars that are on display. For collectors, you can choose to add the cars to the collection and add even more pictures and info about them all. What's fascinating about this is that for every single person, there's something on offer, and with free accounts, you can get even more information, you can find out even more about it all, plus premium accounts, should you wish to upgrade as well. You can make that account and get straight in, get updating that there's a car that you've seen at an event, and it pulls all of this together so that we all know and understand more about all of these cars that we love, which cars have been here at the museum, which cars have been at these different events, and it all ties together, and as you can tell, I'm really quite excited about it. As I mentioned, the first of our £50 million of hypercars that we're going to run through that have been here to the museum was when Zenvo came by with the blue TSRS. The car that would go on to become a Shmeemobile. That was the day that we locked in the order. We went ahead, and you could say the rest is history from there. I've actually since driven that car in the United States as well, but when it was here, the garage was so empty and bare compared to what we see now. Back in those early days of the museum, in fact in the whole of the first year, we only saw 2 hypercars come by. There have been many more recently, but the second of those was my friend Passin with Naraya, his Koenigsegg Agera RS, an exposed blue carbon fibre with hand-painted gold leaf pinstripes and details. A stunning car that we took out for a drive as well with my Ford GT on a day that I will not forget, the first of a number of Koenigsegg's that are actually going to form part of this list. But next up, nearly a full year into the life of the museum, Max Cooper's Jaguar XJ220S. Max, of course, the founder of Gumball 3000, with a car that has been so significant in my love of cars and of the Gumball Rally going back to the earlier days. Having that car here was a special, special thing. In fact, I'm not sadly going to be taking part in Gumball this year, but I hope to be back on it maybe next year and a few more times in the future, having now done it 9 times, which is kind of crazy. Fourth comes my friend Shin Mike-Yin's Pagani Huayra BC. Absolutely crazy thing that stopped by. In fact, I drove that car also over at the Nürburgring, but when Mike was here with it all the way from New Zealand, he came to visit very briefly before I took it into London to go and drop it off for him. Not a bad start though for our first 4 cars on this list. Some of you who have been following for a while will know a little bit of the background, but I want to give you more of the backstory behind Shmee 150 and ECR and how all of this connects. Because before I uploaded my first video about 15 years ago, so we're talking around 16 or 17 years ago, I was obsessed with number plates. I'm still a bit of a pedant with these through to today, but at the time, living in central London, I'd often see really short, immensely valuable number plates. And so I started a website, a very basic website, a bit of a number plate gallery, keeping tabs on what I would see around. Jump ahead though, and when I had started making YouTube videos, I went and bought myself my Aston Martin V8 Vantage Roadster in late 2010. Now, off the back of that, I then started a website about limited edition Aston Martins, a registry of 177s and V12 Vantage Roadsters to keep tabs on the 77 and 100 cars respectively. I was really into seeing where they would go, finding out about the colours and specifications. And remember, this was before the social media platforms we have now. This was before Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, etc. So relying on press releases, news reports, and sometimes also on what you could find from Flickr, which isn't really used in the same way anymore, but photographers and car spotters back then. So jump ahead from then till about 5 years ago, because all of that had fizzled out a little bit. And my friend and now business partner, Jay, and I wanted to create a database, a resource. We both work in this industry, visiting tons of different collections. Jay's also involved in the high-end car world. So we wanted to keep tabs a little bit on the cars that we would see, where they would move around the world. And that's when we found Exclusive Car Registry, which we got involved with and have evolved and grown ever since. Now, you do actually know Jay from the channel, because when I bought the GT500, he was on the other end of the phone call before we took delivery of it at Iconic Motors. Hey Jay, what's the news?
Hey Tim, I have really good news. Okay. Has accepted our offer, and we now have a new Schneemobile.
He also has been part of a number of videos. He rode with me in a 300 SL Roadster around Pebble Beach during Monterey Car Week, and a number of tours around Europe as well. But of course, we have now built up a team. We've been involved in funding this project, growing the number of developers and the number of people who are involved in everything with it. It's not a brand deal integration for a third-party company here. This is something that I invested in around 4 or 5 years ago and have been funding along with Jay ever since, as we've built it up into what ECR is today. We have a lot of cars still to come that have been here to visit, but we're now in 2023, and that's only about a year ago that I welcomed the Lee Collection. Now, the Lee Collection team came by with some epic cars. We're talking the Bugatti Chiron Supersport that they had only just collected over here in Europe, the Gembala Mirage GT, one of only 25 of the modified Carrera GT. Then, in addition, we also saw their Aston Martin V12 Speedster, the open-top Aston Barchetta, plus they were also joined by a McLaren Senna, in addition, of course, to mine. I haven't really been talking about my cars that have been here to visit or stay, of course, but 4 insane cars lined up together. Then at the end of 2023, a Koenigsegg was back, the Jesko, with Tommy from Super Futura going out for a drive in the Jesko, the black over red, here at the garage. Just immense. That thing is so cool in every possible way. 2024 is going to be a busy one. We've got a lot more cars still to come. I need to explain more about how ECR works and what are the benefits for you of creating a free profile on the platform and getting involved. At its heart, as I said, ECR is about preserving history, one car at a time. It's about the community coming together to build a complete database, a transparent overview on all of these cars that we love. It's so that in the future, when we look back, these stories aren't forgotten. We know the specifications, we understand the details, we can add value to the cars by knowing the events they attended, the competitions they entered, and so many more bits of information about them. And the beauty of the system is that anybody can make an edit. Let's say you're an enthusiast or a photographer or a car spotter or work in the industry. You can make an edit and an update to the platform. For example, you can add pictures, you can tag a new location, you can mark some specification information or fill in some of the blanks with that car's history. When you've made an edit, that then goes into the queue whereby the rest of the community can vote. If that's correct, that gets pushed to the platform and you actually gain reputation points. By gaining significant numbers of points within a niche, you then become a specialist in that particular area, and your area of expertise is shown to the other users as we build more of that information together on the platform. Take, for example, my McLaren 675 LT Spider. One of the beautiful things on ECR is that I've been able to add all of the information, the complete history of this near 8-year-old car, where it's attended, the different events that it's been to, the belongings that it came supplied with, and so much more. And by doing so, looking back in the future, fast forward 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, it will paint a picture of where that car went, what it did, preserving that history. Future generations down the line will understand everything that that did. And that's one of the most incredible things, is how much we can preserve the history of these cars. It's all about the cars. It's all about this passion that we have in common for these kinds of things. The start of this year was a busy one. This arrived, the Murcielago SV, and I mentioned that, of course, because while not technically a hypercar, it is on ECR. This is one of my favorite cars, one of my favorite Lamborghinis. My first ever YouTube video featured one of these. It belongs to Richard from Challenge the Road. Shortly after, we saw the arrival of the Aston Martin Valkyrie, again from Passon, this one called Arnamos, in the purple carbon fiber, again with the hand-painted gold leaf. My word, that thing was cool. Go ahead though towards April, ahead of Petrol Hedonism Underground, Wambarn came with their 918 Spider in the bright orange. But one of the biggest, coolest, most standout cars that's ever been here came up next. The Sesto Elemento from the Scotland Lamborghini collection, the one of not a whole lot, and this is where ECR gets very interesting. There were supposed to be 20, it's believed not 20 were ever actually completely manufactured, but the Sesto Elemento, the 6th element, the track car based on the Gallardo. It's one of the fascinating things to understand these cars, to see where they move around the world, including something like that. Beyond the benefits for an individual of creating a free account and making edits that ultimately will grow towards earning a specialty in a specific area, there are so many other benefits of ECR as a platform for every one of these different pillars. Take, for example, a collection. If you're the owner of a collection or a collection manager, you can be verified to that collection on ECR, which gives you the ability to make further edits beyond just the page of the car itself. For example, you can add extra pictures of the collection overall, you can add further information and a detailed description of the collection, and of course use that as a central hub for all of the updates about that specific collection. Take museums in a similar way. It's possible to add cars for an exhibit, present more information and more stories about it all, along with extra information on the museum itself. Then, of course, we have other corporate tools available for dealer accounts. That's where we can give unique selling points of the cars, taking some of this information and packaging it for a specific purpose. And of course, you can reach out to find out more about that. Beyond that, similarly with auction houses, it's possible to produce reports, again for manufacturers, where it's fascinating to learn so much more about this, to understand even for financial advisors and asset managers where these cars are around the world, where they're moving, where would be a good location to open a new business. Think of all of the different possibilities that you can use this for. And that's one of the most exciting things for me, because I've always been a bit of a data nerd at heart. I'm not going to lie. I love learning about this stuff. I love piecing it together. I used to work in an investment consultancy, so I could spend hours looking at all of this, just trying to understand it. And there are so many different benefits for each of these respective areas, and plenty more that's in development for the future as well. We're nearly at the mysterious cars that have been here that have never featured on the channel, but before we do, the next to talk about is the Bussink Speed Legend, the Barchetta version of the AMG GT, a car that of course I absolutely love, and I've been very close with the Bussink team. In fact, having filmed a number of videos with them over the years at the Gumball 3000 and various different events, and I've actually driven 3 of the different Speed Legends, and that's one of the beauties of ECR, to be able to see these different cars, especially from a small outfit like the Bussink team, to be able to understand where these are, the different specs, and where they've gone. The next, the Praga Bohema, an extreme car to say the least. A car that I've driven before at the Slovakia Ring, but seeing it here at the Museum, amongst the Shmeemobiles, just looking awesome, to be completely honest. Then let's talk about these 3, the Zenvos, that have arrived here after the Goodwood Festival of Speed. I asked the team if we could house them for a short while to be able to see what they look like here. I tell you what, it's got me tempted, that's for sure. We've welcomed the Aurora Tour, the more road-going spec, the more GT spec of the new model, alongside its sibling Aurora Agile, which, while also road legal, is a little bit more track-focused. Plus, of course, the TSR GT, the sibling to my TSR S. So we've got the 2 different versions of both the TSR and Aurora all together here at the Museum, and you can bet all of those have been tagged up as attending here on ECR. If you're wondering why I'm now standing with my Abarth, that is because these are actually on ECR as well, being a limited edition exclusive car, one of only 200. In fact, car number 200 out of the 200. This is another element of the platform, because anybody can vote for even the different cars that are going to feature next. Whether you want to see things like 911 STs, whether it's the GT Black Series or the Ford GT, and amongst the Shmeemobiles, in fact, we have 8 of the current collection that feature on ECR, and some of the previous cars I've owned as well, like my McLaren Senna and the C63 AMG Black Series. Again, as part of my collection, you can see that those cars were previous members. It will be fascinating to see where they go next, to see some of the location history as they join collections in the future, along with even something like this and the Heritage Focus RS. That's one of the things. It's not a specific rule as to what features. It doesn't have to be the latest and most expensive. It's about the community deciding what's interesting to find out about, what will have value in the future for these kinds of cars by understanding their past. Of course, ECR is constantly evolving. There are new bits of functionality being added all the time, and that's one of the things about having a very in-house team to develop it all. We are actually now more than 10 people in total running this as a complete operation. It's been funded by Jay and myself to develop this platform, something that we're very passionate about and something we really enjoy ourselves. And that's one of the most amazing things. Every time we meet somebody from within the industry, whatever it is that they do, there's something new to learn, something exciting to share, and to see how this can be used. The data are about cars. It's all about the cars. Cars are what we love. Cars are about the data, what we would like to preserve, what we would like to be able to look back at in the future, as I mentioned. So, should I tell you about some of the cars that haven't been on the channel, but have been here? There's something that these three cars I'm going to mention, the three secret cars that have been here and never shared on the channel, all have in common. But the first is one of the holy grails of hypercars, the Pagani Zonda. Yes, my friend Shin Mike Yin returned to the museum in style with his Zonda F. In fact, the car had just flown in from Hong Kong. It had only just arrived in the UK. He picked it up. This was his first port of call on his way into London to spend a couple of days before the car would go onwards to Italy, where it's going to get some upgrades and updates. So to be able to see it in its original form, and let's be honest, any day that there is a Pagani Zonda in your garage is a good day. That's a car worth in excess of 10 million. By far the most valuable car that has been to visit here at this museum, and just something to really sit back and behold, even if it was a very brief visit. Great, as always, to see Mike and to be able to take that car in while it was here. But we move onwards to something a little bit newer, the GMA T50, the Gordon Murray Automotive T50, the fan car. A pre-production car came to visit, another quick visit. Unfortunately, at this stage, I've not yet had an opportunity to drive one, but I hope that's coming soon, and I look forward to sharing something on the channel. But the T50 is, again, a masterpiece of engineering. It's small, it's lightweight, the engine revs up extraordinarily quickly, it sounds phenomenal. It's a naturally aspirated V12 with a manual gearbox and the innovative three-seat configuration that really arrived with Gordon Murray in the F1 originally. The T50 is something that's completely out of this world, again. But the third car that I never shared yet on the channel was the arrival of my friend Grant Baker with his Ferrari 812 Competizione A, the Aperta, one of 799. Again, an NAV12. There's been a bit of a theme between these three cars, but Grant's Competizione is finished in the Cavalcade livery, only available to customers who have participated on Ferrari's Cavalcade Rally, the owner's tour that they do. In fact, the car had been shipped over from New Zealand to take part in the event in Italy, and it looks absolutely striking. I actually met Grant about 6 years ago when I was in New Zealand, and completely coincidentally, I saw his F12 TDF being driven. Social media then introduced us, and Grant invited me to his garage, which was very much an inspiration for building this museum. The layout with the upstairs office, having the cars, creating something very personal, was really inspired by what Grant had done at his garage. So it was great to be able to invite him here, and he also came with Formula One driver Liam Lawson. So it was great to meet him as well and talk a little bit about his YouTube journey and what he's up to. But again, all of these cars just from out of this world, and to see them where I am sat right now in the middle of the garage has been something unforgettable. All of these cars totaling, as I said, over £50 million, the cars, including my own, that have been right here in this museum. This is why I've been showing you the changes here at the museum, the updates to the office space, moving office rooms and layouts, because we have an expanding team. And while not everybody is based here, of course, we do want to be able to host meetings and things. And in fact, the ECR team is actually now more than 10 people working full-time just on ECR. It's become quite a big thing in the background, doing millions of page views a month, and of course, building such a big database behind it all. When it comes to cars like even the Abarth, but the McLaren 675 LT Spider, the GT Black Series, the Bossink Speed Legend, the Aston GT8, the Mercy SV, all of the Zenvos, my Heritage Focus RS, and some of the Shmeemobiles that are absent, like my Ford GT and the SLS Black Series, to be able to document these cars, to add value to them in the future. It's something that Jay has worked so immensely hard on in the last couple of years, running the team behind Exclusive Car Registry to create all of this. And there are so many ideas for the future as well, in terms of things we're going to add. But I love it to do my own research. I've said that so many times. When it comes even to the SLS Black Series, there have always been rumors that there are only 150 cars. I suspected it was more like 350, but the fact there are 400 on ECR means we can work out more information from that, understand how many of them are produced in different colors, given the very limited choices choices that were available. And I love researching as well. So when choosing the specs of future Schmemobiles, especially the Ferraris, I can dig into the different colors that have already been produced to get an idea and some inspiration for the different specifications. Now, my business partner, Jay, has done so much work behind the scenes, running the development team, the admins, the users, the specialists on the platform, and pulling everything together. And there are so many more things coming, whether it's an app, new areas of the website, it's all in the works. Of course, it takes time, and we're obviously trying to build everything as well to be able to offer all of this functionality. But I do implore you to give it a go. Sign up. You might find it's a bit of a rabbit hole that you end up browsing and looking. You head to an event, see all of the cars that are there, then dig into that car in a bit more detail to see more specifications that other cars were available in. It's really fun. And for somebody like me that is basically obsessed with the data behind all of this, it's such a dream and so much fun to be part of it. It comes from passion. It comes from the passion of myself, from Jay, from the team, from you guys for being part of all of it. And you've been part of this journey with me for, well, literally nearly 15 years now. And this is really, I want to say, the evolution of that. It's the future. It's what's coming next. And I've always loved the idea of trying to create something off the back of what I love. And these are what I love. Cars are literally my life. Exclusive, rare, limited edition cars. And there's going to be so much room for improvement and growth in the future as well. So by all means, give it a go. Hit us up with ideas. Check out Exclusive Car Registry. It's free to make an account. And as well, in addition to that, as I mentioned, we have all of the other functionality. If you're a dealer, for example, get in touch and we'll see what services we can offer you. Plus, of course, we also have the ability to post banners in specific areas of the site. So plenty of opportunities there as well. But that's it for this time, I think. Welcome to Exclusive Car Registry, the next chapter, the next exciting stage. It's going to be a very, very big one. And I want to say thank you to everyone for being part of it. Let's do this. Let's bring it on. A new journey begins. ECR is here for a really big impact on the exclusive car world, and I couldn't be more excited about it. That's it for now, though. Thank you very much to everyone who's been involved. Thank you to you guys for watching this video. It's been a lot of fun hosting some amazing cars already here at the Schmuseum. And I suspect the future is only going to get better. That's it for now, though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.